Okay.
All right, well, welcome everyone. Welcome to Florida International University. Welcome to the Chapman Graduate School of Business. And I am welcoming folks live via Facebook. I will admit this is my first time living, or in this, whatever it's called, it's the first time. So to all of you out there, tell your friends, come join us, see what a little short man can do, and screw up doing this live stuff. But anyway, welcome, seriously, welcome to FIU. I'm the Executive Director of MBA programs here at FIU, and we're delighted to welcome you. I'm excited that you're here tonight for this very special evening. We are an incredible institution. We are 50,000 students plus strong. Alumni all over the world, school rankings that are just skyrocketing. Our Chapman Graduate School of Business is now number 6 in U.S. News and World Report for international business. But more importantly, we are the school for dreamers and for strivers. We are a school where people here are transformed into something great. And that's really our claim to fame. So we're your school. We're delighted that you're here. We can tell you a lot about it. Come see one of our representatives after this evening. Tonight you have a very special night, a very special group of fine men who are here to represent the College of Business and also representing our country. And we are very grateful for everything they've done and that they continue to do. It's a very special evening, so I want to welcome you again, and thanks for being here.
Okay, hi, I'm Ashley. I'm the recruiting manager for the Professional and Executive MBA programs. I know I've probably spoken to a couple of you over the phone or have seen you around. This is where our offices are located. Again, I just want to wish you a warm welcome here to FIU. If this is your first time, maybe this will become your home in the future. Who knows? We host several events like this year long, but this is actually our first annual Veterans Panel. We have some prepared questions that we have for the panelists, and as they have volunteered their time and their great stories and wisdom. But we will be opening up questions to you guys. This is going to be a frank discussion about any feelings that you may have about, military life or, civilian life and going into grad school and those kinds of decisions. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce some of the panelists. Here to my right, I have Renee Jouet. I have Michael Scadden here in the center, and I have Peter Bermudez over here, and our lovely moderator, Joseph McRoe. You take it away.
Okay, so I guess it's showtime. We got a very kind of intimate group here. I kind of like that because it does allow exactly what Ashley said, a frank discussion. So since we've kind of introduced ourselves, and I'll have each of us introduce a little more about ourselves, but first we're going to put you on the dime and have you introduce yourselves. I think we got enough time so that we know who we're talking to. We can kind of get a sense of what you're looking for out of this panel, and then we can kind of, if you all agree, and base our responses and the flavor and the direction that this thing goes based off of what you need. Because at the end of the day, it's not about us. And for those of us who are military, we know it's never been about us. It's about the other person. So we want to make sure that we're hitting the mark for you. So with no further ado, I might just kind of walk around the room and give our panelists a flavor of why are you here tonight, and a little bit of your own background, and then that will help them kind of shape their questions, if you all agree.
I'm Isabel Bernard. I'm going to go into the military soon, probably by this December, hopefully. Just depends when they can get me in. And I'm looking to see what FIU can offer me through the course of my bachelor's and my master's. So hopefully a lot of questions will be answered and I can get a feel for what this school can offer me.
So are you looking at doing are you going reservist and then looking at doing school as well? Or
active school while I'm in, and then coming in here for my master's when I get out.
Okay, fantastic. So potential FIU recruit. Got it.
Hi, my name is Gemma Rosales, and I'm a pharmaceutical representative, and I'm currently applying for the MBA program, and so I'm here to hear some experiences that you've had within the program and what it has taken, what it has done for you after graduating.
And any military experience?
No military.
Okay, so fantastic. So we're going to give you a little flavor of both, okay?
How you doing? My name is John Ortiz. I am a veteran, 21-year Army retiree. I'm more so just here trying to get some information as far as I'm currently one class away from finishing my bachelor's, so I'm starting to look forward to MBAs and different opportunities. Obviously, I saw this through Facebook and caught my attention, so like she said, I'm just more so trying to get some information.
Okay, fantastic. So looking at potentially going straight into the MBA program after this. Super. Okay.
My name is Christina Carey. I'm actually currently enrolled with several people here in the executive MBA program. I am not a veteran myself, but I have admiration for everyone in this room. I work with a variety of veterans groups, so I thought it might be important for my come here to see stories.
Fantastic. Looks like you helped one out up here.
I think it'll help you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Zach Bonheim. 9 years active duty in the Coast Guard. Still currently drilling as a reservist here in Miami Beach. I still also work for the Coast Guard as a civilian, so I'm really hanging on there. But I'm looking into a couple MBA programs, interested in something I can do while I still work full time. So I'm looking to get some information about that.
Hello everybody, I'm Mario Aguilar. I'm currently in the healthcare MBA program, almost done, alongside my friend here, Chris. 4 years active duty Air Force, got out, came back. This is home for me, so if anybody is going that route and has any questions, I'd be happy to help. It's a healthcare MBA.
My name is Christopher Kane. I'm in healthcare MBA program where we started. Been active in the Army, National Guard, 22 years. I have duty tomorrow morning. The National Guard in Fort Stewart, Georgia, so I'll be traveling out there after this. If you like to know, just let me know.
My name is Carly Viola. I'm also in the MBA, healthcare MBA program. I'm finishing in December. I went to Dubai this year for school, and this person right here was kind of introducing me to military life and experience. So I got interested, and I saw the email from Mercy, so I decided to try to hear it.
So are you a potential military recruit then, or?
I don't know. I
want to know, because we're going to be wearing many different hats tonight, some for FIU and some we're looking for talent always for the officer programs. Especially in the Marine Corps, absolutely. Okay, so we may leverage you three since you're kind of already in a program and give some of those who are looking at exploring other opportunities, what is it? I don't know if any of us are in the health MBA program, so that might be some good expertise we can leverage there.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dave Johnson. Currently active in the Coast Guard. I do have my bachelor's degree from Oklahoma State University. I'm on the fence right now if I want to pursue a career long-term United States Coast Guard, or if I wanted to explore the opportunities in the outside world. So I wanted to come and get information on the program and just to see what I have going on out there.
Fantastic. So you got a lot of experience here to kind of that decision of, hey, do I continue in the military or can I do both? I mean, that's another option as well. Sir?
My name is Tony LaJoyo. I'm currently on the executive MBA program. And what you're looking at here is the true American dream. I really am. I spent 10 years in the Marine Corps, both enlisted and as an officer. Probably the best thing I ever did for my life. And I would never ever say anything to anybody wanting to go into the military. Went into corporate life. I've had 3 lives. And went into corporate life. From corporate life, I did my own business. I sold it twice. We grew it from a bankrupted company to a $40 million company. We sold it at a multiple of 9.2 times EBITDA. And we sold it again when it was 525 million. We sold it for 360 million. I was a minority owner. I can't believe really the positions that I've been and the opportunities that it's given me. You may ask, why am I in the executive program? I have founded 12 companies, many of which I even gave one away during the brick and mortar and the .com. And this program for me is just a continuing step of education and what it can do for someone striving to continue to give back. So I see myself also helping others, as well as, hey, listen, I have rough hedges, so that's why also I'm part of the Executive MBA program. But I love this program. We are, I think, 28 cohorts. She's one, and those are 2 up there. And I'm very proud of this program and what it can do for anybody. So.
Fantastic. Okay, well, you have the bios of our illustrious panel up here, and even the more illustrious, you know, host up here myself. So, but I think what we'll start, hearing that, I think that'll kind of help us kind of gauge what direction we go with the questions, so we can get a little bit of everything for everybody who's looking to potentially either are at the bare verge of transitioning or are kind of looking at the IMBA or other MBA programs as an option or opportunity. So I'm going to ask, and I'll make it an open question and let each of you kind of take the, we'll just start from here and work our way down. But given what I'm hearing, when you came to, and when you yourselves decided on FIU and FIU MBA programs, if you can kind of just, for those of them who are kind of trying to decide why FIU, why an MBA, and why the particular MBA program that you chose, given where you were at your stage at the time that you chose it. So if you can kind of just you know, that's a very open-ended question, but go from there and kind of let us know what that decision was like and why FIU.
I think that was a lot of questions, but I'm trying to focus on which one's which. I had looked around, probably like a lot of you. I had a minor in communications and business and economics through a different university. So I was looking at what's a well-known state accredited university. I think that was the first chop was between, I think, FIU and U of F. Then I looked, I'm also, I guess back up, also I work full-time. So I was trying to see what fit my lifestyle a little bit better. I think one was University of Florida and then FIU, and I think I was part of the downtown MBA, so I think the executive and the healthcare are 2 different ones. So that it really just fit my lifestyle the best, my learning style the best. I am not a self-learner on the internet, so I like the discussions we had. I think the cohort system was awesome because you stay with the same group of people for I think mine was 18 months. So you really get to know them, develop relationships, and like anybody in business, networking is everything. So.
And you did the executive MBA program?
No, I did downtown.
Downtown, okay.
All right, well, as you heard, I'm Michael Scadden. I'm in the executive MBA program. One of the reasons that I chose FIU is because, well, one reason is that it's a growing school and it's constantly in a process of self-improvement. You'll see that many of the colleges at FIU, especially in their master's programs, are going up at the ranks, both within Florida and nationally as well. A lot of my work centers around Latin America, and so that was another reason that I chose FIU, is because so much of their academics relates to Latin America and the regional affairs of that area. One of the reasons I chose the executive MBA is because it brings a sort of global perspective to the MBA program. If you have enough time in management or enough years on the ground in the workforce, then you can qualify for it basically based on your resume. It's a great opportunity for people that have a lot of time in the workforce and can have an opportunity to interview with the executive director and some of the faculty and see if it's something that will be a good fit for you. What else can I say?
No, I mean, that nailed it, I think, in many instances.
Hi. First of all, I'd like to say I'm really honored to be here and speak to all of you. All of you bring a lot to this panel. But for me, the reason I chose FIU, first and foremost, was family. I put my daughter through school at FIU. She graduated in 2014, and she had a great experience in FIU. So when I was looking at going back to school using my veterans benefits, the veterans benefits pay for 100% of a state-run college. And so knowing FIU through my daughter, that was the only school that I applied to. Now, once I looked at the MBA programs, there's a lot of programs here. And I really didn't know which one was the best fit for me. So I actually went to a few seminars and spoke to Ashley back there and a few of the other advisors about which program was what they all specialized in and what would be the best fit for me. And it was during my interview with Angel and Dr. Lassar that I came to realize that the executive MBA was best for me. One of the reasons is that I finished my undergraduate studies 30 years before I started my master's degree. So that's a big gap. And so I was going to be in a group cohort of people about my own age. Tony's a little bit older. We always joke with him about that. And that's how I chose FIU and also the executive MBA.
Okay, fantastic. And so as we go through, I mean, for those of you who are about to transition, and everybody up here has transitioned already from the military into the workforce or are in that process of transitioning, what was probably one of the biggest challenges that you encountered as you were about to make that decision? You're knowing you're getting out, you're knowing you're getting ready to go into the civilian workforce, and now it's time to transition and come back. And so what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced, and then how did this assist you in meeting those challenges?
That one, it may not be fair because I'm still in, so I'm still a reservist. I've been a traditional reservist now for 15 years, so that I'm still, that one's hard to say because I'm still in. So as far as that goes, so it's hard for me to say how it helps. And I had a job prior to that, like I said, so I think I got to push this marble this way.
Okay.
But if you want to join the reserves, let me know.
No, just repeat the question for me one more time.
So you got out, you're about to make that transition, you transitioned into the workforce, and what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced transitioning from the military into the civilian workforce? And then as you've come through, how has FIU in some component facilitated that transition for you from the military into the workforce?
Okay, well, let me tell a long story.
I love that.
All right, basically my transition happened in essentially two parts. When I first left the military in about 2007, I went directly into government contracting. Basically, I did rotations into Baghdad, Iraq, continuing to work with a lot of my peers now out of the military, working with the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad. So a lot of the nuances of my military life were still there. It was still a bit of a transition in and of itself. And as time went on, I realized that whatever money I was making there, because going into government contracting, especially working over the Middle East, we did have some pretty good paychecks at the time. What I started to notice is that as the personnel were drawn down on my contract and other contracts, we had a plethora of individuals that had not taken the time to go and get their degree, that had not taken the time to improve themselves academically. Many did, and many were very successful with that, and there was a huge difference between those that took the time to go back to school right after the military or during their government contracting experience, and those that did not. I, to this day, know many that have remained under or marginally employed because they didn't take that opportunity until recently to start their GI Bill. What I want to caveat that with is it's never too late. I talked to several of my friends over the last few years and convinced them to go back to school and use the GI Bill that they were just sitting on to improve their marketability and also create a real transition back in the workforce. Because going from that transition from the military to government contracting, you're not entirely leaving that lifestyle. You're not entirely transitioning to civilian life. So my second transition came in 2012 when I left government contracting. I came back to take care of my daughters at home, and have ever since been doing a lot of consulting for different businesses. I've taken up a couple of different positions in the corporate world, and each new experience has led me to realize I needed to go back to school. I had a lot of credits behind me by the time I left the military, but I needed to turn it into a degree. And I knew that to be more marketable in the workforce, I needed to get my master's degree. And FIU was probably one of the best places to do that. By combining a couple of undergraduate certificates, I was able to kind of round out what I already had and graduate with my BA, and then go right into the executive MBA program. And it's been a wonderful experience, and it's actually added a great deal to not just my marketability, but it's improved my own transition. Like I said, it's been basically two different transitions, coming back into civilian life as a contractor, and then coming back more so into civilian, or rather corporate life, once I left those positions as well. I think every single veteran needs to do it. If you haven't had the chance or didn't take the opportunity to go to school while you're in the military, going back to school right away when you leave, or as soon as possible, is absolutely essential to making that transition back into civilian life. I think it not only improves your marketability, but gives you the interpersonal skills that you may need to be, I hate to use the word functional, but to be a little more functional in society. And that's kind of my thoughts on that.
I have a similar experience to Michael. I actually had two transitions also. So I retired the first time in 2007, and I was a junior ROTC instructor at Miami High School. This was during the height of two wars, Iraq and Afghanistan, and I was in a high density skill that the military needed at the time. So I got recalled back on active duty and stayed on active duty until 2014. And so in 2014, I had to make my second transition. And like Michael, I went into contracting. And I was working with the United Arab Emirates Army, training their military. And I realized that that is a very short-term employment. It's good while it lasts, but it could end at any time, and you really have almost nothing to fall back on. And so I realized also, like Michael, there's a big difference between those that go and make an effort to get advanced academic skills and those that don't. So that was another reason why I decided to come to FIU and work on my MBA. So that transition, those two transitions actually led me to this point. That second transition, realizing that government contracting and using my military skills was only going to take me so far, and that I needed, like Michael, to be a little bit more functional and broaden my horizons to be more successful in the civilian world.
Fantastic. And I might just share a little bit too, so since we're all kind of panelists up here at all, or all together. So similar, I transitioned or retired from the Marine Corps after 22 years, literally 3 years ago in September, and I retired here. And so my transition experience was a little different, and we're throwing this out there for everyone's in different situations. So I made a decisive decision at that point in time that I was going to do my transition in one phase. So many folks, for those of you out there who are at that stage, and there's kind of this step transition, I'm going to transition from the military and I'm going to go into security contracting or defense contracting. So you kind of got a soft landing, and then you go from that into something else. And so I actually went from the military straight into academia. So, I mean, it's almost like, landing on Mars and being the first guy on Mars, the cultural differences. But the thing that FIU really helped me with in my choice with the MBA program, and I find it a tremendous paradox, and maybe some of these gentlemen up here do as well. you're put in charge for 22 years and you're in a group of alpha males and alpha females. There's not a shred of self-doubt in anything that you do. You become exceptionally skilled and almost comfortable at navigating some of the most complex cultural environments in the world. Afghanistan, no problem. Iraq, no problem. I'm about to retire. Oh no. And you're like, all of a sudden, I found myself who had, in charge of battalions and leading men in the most unbelievable situations, feeling a sense of self-doubt for the first time. And I don't want to get all touchy-feely here, but since it's a small, intimate crowd, of self-doubt about transitioning into the civilian workforce of my own country. And so this program, for me, the FIU Executive MBA program, afforded me the opportunity, quite frankly, to build up my confidence to be able to transition seamlessly into the civilian workforce. And I know that's hard for a military officer to say that you ever lack confidence, and you never did until that time when you step and you're like, holy smoke, it's time to get into the civilian world. And so for me, and I don't know if it has kind of built your confidence, especially the Executive MBA program in my particular case, you're sitting next to, self-made men who have been successful, and you start wondering, am I going to be able to thrive in that type of environment? Do I have the skills? Do I have the leadership? Do I have the character necessary to be in that particular group of executive MBA folks? And you quickly find, at least I did, and I'll expand, that will be the next question, that the skills you've acquired through the military put you not just on par in many instances, but far surpassing some of your peer groups who have not had military experience, particularly on the leadership, organizational management, etc. So I don't know if any of you would have similar experiences. Has the MBA program in any component lifted your confidence to facilitate your transition? And then as you build through, the second question will be, hey, I like the cohort concept. It develops friends and networking. Those who have already left, are you still keeping those relationships up, and did they facilitate your transition as well? So we'll start on this end and then work our way down.
Like Joseph said, it is very scary leaving the military after such a long period. I spent 28 years in uniform, and so stepping out and then going into the civilian world, that was kind of scary. And so yes, this MBA program, the Executive MBA program, has helped me out a lot. Really enjoying the academic experience, getting back into it after 30 years, meeting great people like Christina and Tony and Michael, and our cohort was staying together throughout the entire 22 months, and we're in small teams that are working really well together, and getting to know people very closely is almost like being in the military. Feeling that really close-knit family and work together to accomplish tasks. So it's working out really well for me, making that transition from the military to civilian.
I don't have a lot to add to that, just kind of emphasize what Renee just said, is that with the cohort, I think it does make it a lot more comfortable for those who are transitioning from the military. Like you said, it's you get in your nice small groups, you're able to get to know everyone, you're able to become very close together. I think our first residency, we had a week-long residency with a lot of learning that happened very rapidly, and I think we all became very close at that time. We got to know each other's personalities, and ever since, I think all of our groups have been relatively functional and have become fairly close-knit. That's basically all I have to add, is that I think that helps with the transition, especially with the Executive MBA. I'm assuming the MBA is that cohort concept allows you to have that similar close-knit group dynamic.
Yes, and I'm graduating in 2015, so I can say even to this day we still we still keep in contact, that we still network. You know, a lot of positions that, you know, we'll see available will help each other out, so from that aspect. The downtown professional MBA or the executive MBA, whichever, that type of cohort learning has been beneficial for sure. I can't say I had the apprehension because I've always had a job. So in the civilian sector, it won't sound like that, but I've always had a job in the civilian sector. So we almost, you know, we live like in each end of the spectrum. But I can say, you know, as for, you know, and I've spoken it time and time again as far as, you know, business leaders and you know, entrepreneurs and whatnot out there. I think there's no nothing that equals, you know, a military, you know, a veteran or a military person or, you know, an officer as far as, you know, towards an organization, because, you know, we definitely build, you know, and they'll stay here time and time again, you know, that adaptive, agile leader. And by the way, that's also what the corporate world wants. So I think, you know, the complementary aspects of the military and private sector really go hand in hand.
Okay, and so that, you know, we're kind of up at the stratosphere level here, and so I know that some of the challenges in the transition piece are kind of more tactical related type questions. And one of the biggest ones that come, or that I had as I transitioned is, how does this post 9/11 GI Bill work? Is it effective? Is it efficient? Does it work well at FIU as compared to other locations? What is unique for some of you who are kind of, hey, how do I navigate that component and that facet? Something we've all had to kind of do on different types. So from post 9/11 to World War II to top perhaps you know, Montgomery GI Bill type efforts, and we're popping jokes here, but there's several different types. How, for the panel, challenging was that navigating the administrative part of the GI Bill, whatever your particular GI Bill was, and how much was FIU able to assist with that particular transition through the MBA programs? Start in the middle.
All right. Actually, it was probably one of the easiest processes ever. I even recommended to several friends that are beginning their academic journey after the military to go directly to the Veterans Office on whatever campus they're going to. And I have to say that basically the second I called our Veterans Office at FIU, they were right there to help me. Paperwork has always been easy. They do most of it for you, from what I found. And then as far as the administration with the College of Business, I mean, I haven't had a misstep at all. The recruiting team, Ashley Capo and Megan Marini, got me right in for my interview with Dr. Lazar and Angel Burgos, and I moved right into the program almost immediately within, I think, a week and a half, 2 weeks.
That's nice.
And that was right, I think, about 3 weeks before the cutoff time, something like that. So I'd have to
Not
say,
your preferred route, but you know, she's back there, beads of sweat coming off. Rosa like, oh no, but
Ashley will fix everything, and then Rosa will fix everything else.
just say yes, put your hand in the air.
No, I had a great experience with the administration. I had a great experience with our Veterans Office at FIU. They're there to help. I know that a lot of veterans have had a very difficult time trying to navigate things through the VA websites, or calling whoever's supposed to help with the GI Bill on the other end of the phone. It's simple as going to the Veterans Office on campus, talking to them, or giving them a call, sending some emails. They will set you up as quickly as they possibly can. That was my experience.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Pick your school first, and then go to the VA, the Veterans Bill. It's fine. I used the Montgomery GI Bill. It's I think like 87. And then I got my master's with the post 9/11 GI Bill, and it was super easy. And I agree 100%. Really, like I said, just pick your school, and then the VA office will take care of pretty much everything.
I also had a similar experience personally, as well as for my daughter. one of the benefits of the post 9/11 GI Bill is you can pass it to your family. So I passed my benefits to my daughter, and it was so easy that she was even able to navigate the system in FIU by herself with the GI Bill. Everybody on the FIU campus is extremely accommodating and helpful. The VA office on campus will work with you. And then for myself, I'm using the Veterans Rehabilitation Education benefits, and same thing. Rosa's helped me out with that. The VA office, so it is very easy to use your benefits here at FIU.
If I may, I actually want to call out one particular name. Our SVA, what does SVA stand for? Student Veteran, right?
Student Veterans Association.
Yeah, Student Veteran Association. The representative of FIU is Markway Smith. And I tell you what, anytime I had an issue where I needed someone to go to bat for me with an advisor, just about anything, I want to give a shout out to him. Markway Smith has helped me out immensely. So.
And I think that's a key point. So I'll add to this as well, saying that without question, I mean, so I didn't even have to go through, for those of you who are looking at, our conduit was really, Angel, Rosa, and the team, they pretty much took care of all of that. And so it was utterly seamless on the administrative piece. But he brings up a great comment. I think that there's 2,500 veterans that attend FIU in some capacity. I think that's the number. If we can clarify that with Mike Pishner. But the other things that they do, aside from the administrative, make sure you don't have to, you're not worrying about, am I getting paid because someone else is doing it, you can focus on school. But when you do have those encounters, those instances, as rare as they may be, where you need someone to kind of represent you, who can navigate the academic piece, because as former military guys, you kind of like do this and it gets done. That isn't necessarily how it always happens here. And so leveraging them for other things, dealing with your faculty advisor, dealing with whatever the particular situation might be. I found this support network from a veteran perspective across all facets that you could imagine to be very solid here at FIU, and it sounds like for the most part that's the experience that most folks have had. I tell you what, I'm going to take, let's get a question maybe from the audience, and we'll break this monotony up a little bit here and let you. I'm going to put you right on the dime. Whether you have a question or not, you're now the moderator. You got a question,
One consistency I see with everybody on the panel is that you guys all serve the full length tour in the service. This for me in particular, I'm still early in my military career, and I'm still trying to figure out if I want to maintain my career or if I want to get out. Would it be advantageous for me to pursue an executive MBA, or shall I, is it something that maybe is for like the guys that are retired and did their full tour? What are like the, I guess, advice in that aspect? That's something that was kind of got my business fire right now, so I'm just trying to figure out.
I think Michael's the best one to answer that because he's the young guy on the panel, and he didn't retire.
I got in 2007. I'm actually looking at going back into the National Guard at some point here as well. What I can tell you is if you see that you have the time, and you're active duty what again?
Active duty Coast Guard.
So you're in one place, correct?
Yes.
So all you have to do is decide if you have 20 hours a week to do some reading, basically, and write a couple of synthesis papers and do a couple of essays and things like that. I mean, if you think you can dedicate 20 hours a week, and maybe even a little less on a good week, then you have time for this MBA. And the great thing about the EMBA over some of the other MBA programs is we have 2 class meetings a month. You have to make time to meet with your MBA group for class projects, things like that. But we meet 2 Saturdays a month. And those are also live streamed. You're able to participate remotely or watch it when you have time if your work schedule is conflicting. There's only a handful of residencies that you have to attend. And am I right, Rosa? Okay. And also if they start to see that you fall behind, I mean, Rosa will be right behind you with an email letting you know that hey, you know, what's going on? Are you, do you need to turn in this paperwork? You know, if you need help with anything, they're there to basically track you down. I would have to say that the MBA, probably for a working professional, I don't want to compare the MBA, but I know that in my case, it's given me a lot of flexibility with my time. And I've been learning a tremendous amount from it. And I think whether you're active duty, especially active duty in one place, then you can handle it. And the other option is if you're active duty and moving around, like some people I've talked to, they're looking into doing an MBA online, which through FIU to me is very advantageous, because at some point if you transition out, then you can come and start doing campus classes. And the other thing that I want to add here, I know I'm kind of droning on a little bit, is that to me it's advantageous to find the best program that fits you, even if it's just the online MBA or whatever it is, or for some of those guys out there that are just looking at their undergrad, and do at least a class a semester. Just never stop. I mean, that's one thing is if you have the time and the resources for it, then just continue knocking out those classes. There's no reason not to. You know, especially for active duty, because it's completely paid for. It doesn't chew into your GI Bill, as far as I know. There's no reason not to keep going. And like I said again, with the executive MBA, if you got 20 hours a week to do some reading, you're fine.
No, absolutely.
I would add, hey, listen, if you have the time now, do it, because you're going to get so busy in your life, as I did. I started in Boston University with my master's degree, and it got interrupted by the Pakistani hijacking back in 1987. And there's always going to be some type of interruption. And I'm going to tell you, and the best thing is when you have the time, go ahead and put it in, because you will have the experience. You know, I look at some of the professors, one in particular that perhaps would like to have my experience. I would like to have his doctorate, you know, and I'm telling you, do it. If you have the time, do it now. It's very important, okay? It's never too late to go back to school. I'm an example of that. You know, really, I didn't retire from the military, but I saw the transition from military to corporate life, from corporate life to building my own businesses, and you get so busy that I'm telling you, do it. It's the best thing for you.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree, because I think education, it's an old saying, once you get it, you can never take it away.
Absolutely.
And whether you're in the military or in civilian sector, it'll make that transition additionally easier if you go from military to civilian sector, because you bring marketability with you. And I think anything you can build your resume, and your resume is you, is your own brand, that'll benefit you in the military. You know, when you want to go, enlisted, I don't know if you're an enlisted officer, it's always good for promotion. It's always good for assignments. And likewise, you know, it'll make that transition so much smoother. And I agree, because I started my master's in 2007. I did it until 2015. Same thing. You know, you go to OCS, you go to Afghanistan, Africa, babies, and kids, and everything else. So you know, definitely you got to do it. The start. You know, the hardest thing you do is you start. Once you start, it's easy, because you know your class and everybody will bring you through, and then you know, everybody's very accommodating. So that's inside out.
And I might just add one more thing before we go there. I mean, if I understand your question too, and since we're here to kind of recruit folks, but this is also an opportunity for all the old timers to say, hey, you're at that cups that all of us were. You're at the 10-year mark, or you're at this mark, and you're like, do I continue on with my military career, or do I make the leap of faith right now into the civilian world? That's kind of your first big question. And then if it's, so everyone's in different stages in life, and all of us make those decisions and have that same decision that we had to make, and that's a very individual kind of decision, obviously, one that you're gonna have to, you know, weigh heavily at. But I tend to agree, you know, my gut's telling me do both. Stay in, and continue to serve is kind of where my gut's going. Because when I was at that time in my professional military career, do I stay in, do I get out? There's not a day I regret for making the decision for staying in. So that's number one. I mean, to this day, being a retired Marine officer brings tremendous marketability. It provided tremendous life for my family, et cetera, as I went through. So I would say, depending on where you are, you know, cross that hump. It's like crossing Wednesday, then you can see the weekend, right? So cross Wednesday, hump day, and then take advantage. This program, these various programs are incredibly accommodating. And what I found now that I'm in academia, I'm on the inside, I'm in the circle of trust, so to speak, is, so I get an opportunity to look across all the universities across the nation. And one thing that stuck out, and I've come to value it even more so now, a year plus after graduating from the MBA program, is that they have found the perfect balance between being accommodating for every one of the folks who are coming in without degrading the quality of the education and the quality of the degree. And that's a rare thing to find in an institution, I think, is that ability to navigate and find that sweet spot and that right balance between being accommodating and making sure that you maintain a high quality education so that that degree becomes, it's the FIU brand. And you are part of their brand, so they're investing in you as well. And I think they've done quite a good job in doing that. So I would echo what the panel said.
And if I can add something as well, is you don't have to make the decision with, do I get out or do I stay? Or because always remember there's reserves. I think it was General Ordinary's concept of soldier for life. You can go, you know, active duty, you can go IMA, individual mobilized augmentee, you can go to IR while you get your degree. You can always have the option to go back in active duty. So it's you can have a full year, you know, lifetime service without saying, okay, I just want to get out. Because, you know, I think a lot of times when we get out, there's nothing we miss more than the guys that, you know, we serve with.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to actually give you some insight. Currently, pretty much I'm halfway with my master's. I'm actually doing healthcare MBA together, and I'm part of the reserves as well. I'm actually in art, which is in the Air Force. That combines kind of like active duty. So I'm a reservist on the weekend, and then on Friday I'm still wearing the uniform. And I'm telling you that at least my suggestion, it is challenging because our program is actually every Saturday, and we have like 2 online meetings. But you do enjoy it. It does open up a lot of doors and opportunities, like they were mentioning, promotion, experience-wise. You can do both. You can stay in, and like they were saying, if you're in a particular location, it is advantageous because you do develop those network opportunities with your cohort. Like for example, I hear Mario and Chris, and I met Liz on one of our trips that we were able to attend, and you do build those great bonds. You get to talk to them, you get to network. So I would say definitely take advantage of the program. Like I said, it's not easy. You know, there's a lot of times that you don't get enough sleep, but you know what? It's 18 months of your life. You know, that's nothing compared to the rest of your life. And then you can keep going to continue your PhD and take advantage that right now you being active duty, you don't have to pay. You can still save that vehicle for something else.
Well, I wanted to add to the conversation a little bit and actually ask all of you, well, from an administrative perspective, we are always very thrilled to have military students because they bring so much to the table. So whenever we see that, we're delighted. They're confident, they bring leadership skills, they're articulate, all of the things these gentlemen are. So one of the things that's always I've wondered is, what does FIU provide, or what was the big takeaway for you that you didn't get in the military that you got here, perhaps?
So you push it to this side.
Well, for me, it's hard to answer that question right now because I'm only 2 months into the executive MBA program. I could probably answer that better after 22 months after I finish the program, but I am really happy to be in this program, and it is very fulfilling for me, and the cohort, the other people I'm studying with, the administration, it has just been an outstanding experience, and I'm really glad I made that decision.
What I get out of it, but I mean, honestly, the academics is the biggest part. I mean, in the military, you're learning a certain set of skills. You're learning to do things a certain way. I don't want to diminish what we do learn in the military, but the truth is it's not as broad as academics at a university are. Especially a university like FIU, which is a research university. I mean, it's very large. We have a student population of, what, 50,000, right? We have incredible colleges. Our College of Law has the highest passing bar rate of, I think, 87% in Florida. The College of Business is one of the highest rated for international business programs. You don't necessarily get all those broad perspectives during your military experience. You have a particular job that you do. If you have a technical specialty, if you're an officer, you have a whole bunch of people with a technical specialty that you're overseeing. Those experiences make you marketable. They certainly do. They give you leadership skills. And I think the leadership skills that I got in the military aren't necessarily something that I would have gotten, especially like as an undergrad or some of the other programs I've done. I would have to say that the MBA program, for instance, has definitely enhanced my leadership skills and my knowledge of management, most certainly. Oh, definitely. But yeah, I mean, like it's night and day. You know, I mean, what you get out of the military is completely different from what you're going to get out of academics. And I think the two experiences together are very formative for any individual.
I didn't memorize the stats like Michael did, but I would say, one of the biggest things I got out of it, and really the most important thing, is just that creative and critical thinking skills of how to look at things under a different paradigm. Because, I've been in really two sides, as far as military and police work and law enforcement, and, as far as even owning my own business, it brought a different way to look at things, and it's how do you synthesize that? It's really through the open discussions, some of the material, and just having really frank discussions with everybody about what works and what doesn't, not necessarily what's in a book. And I think that's what the benefits of the MBA style that we do, because you have a lot of executives and different people from different sectors. We had people from the financial sector and from the healthcare sector and from business and of course public safety, and so you get a whole lot more than I think if you go to, and not to malign just traditional at the university thinking, but I think you get a whole lot more when you come out into the world and look what location this is. It's in Brickell. I think you get so much more benefit from that. So that's my 2 cents. And if you have kids that go to the main university, at least you can throw an apple at me. But I think there's a tremendous amount of value from this type of program.
And I'll say 3 things. So I got 3 things out of it that I didn't necessarily get out of the military. Number 1 is that thing I talked about. You spend 22 years and they give you a week of transition. And so there's a little, in my mind, from the military perspective, mismatch in that, facilitating that. They tell you what you can go do, but there's not that transition piece. So you lack that confidence. So the number 1 thing that FIU provided in their programs was that opportunity to ease that transition and to build my confidence up to be able to go and perform outside of, like I said, I didn't do a soft landing like phase 1. I'm going to transition into, something that's a defense contractor, and then when you make that full leap. So number 1 thing that they did is they truly facilitated that transition and augmented that experience from the military that they maybe could do a little something else too. The second thing, unbelievable networking processes. So a lot of folks, when they transition and they get ready, they're pretty much transitioning into their home if they're coming here to FIU, and they look at a place to start establishing roots. And the thing that FIU provided, it's a local, it's worlds ahead, right? But it's got a very local flavor to it. And that's one of the beauties of it. And so if you want to establish roots in South Florida, I found there is no better place to do that than at FIU, and that the networking piece that I got out of the MBA program was something that the military didn't necessarily provide, but was absolutely invaluable. And then the third thing, which is a little on the touchy-feely side for me, y'all seeing a whole new phase of me here, is that it provided me a platform by which to transform perceptions that the civilians may have had about the military people. And I think we all kind of need that in some component, as we transition. Less than 1% of America serves in the military. That's a very small portion. The disconnect continues to get wider and wider. Perceptions develop that aren't necessarily based in any shape, form, or facet in fact. And so it was hard to transition and encounter folks, civilian counterparts that had no idea what you did. And sometimes you just need a platform to vent and to express and to shape within your own cohort. And academia provided that release and that ability to kind of mold perceptions, change perceptions, and do that type of deeper level type. Now that I'm a research scientist, I can get in touch with my feelings, right? And get down into those levels. Okay. Absolutely.
You may never find that networking is very important, even in my age, in my experience. My cohort does know, and I want to mention it for the first time, that there's a shark amongst them, and the shark is looking for the next opportunity to invest in, not for my good, but for theirs, perhaps their goals. And it's part of, as you mentioned, that, a little bit about it is the giving back. And that's part of that. Knowing that you made it, but you have to give back as well. And what my cohort doesn't understand is that perhaps there's there's seed money. I look at it as an incubation. If anybody knows the word incubators, and that's what I look at it as. What's the next opportunity? What's something that's going to be interesting for them, something for me, and a way to give back. So.
Yep, go ahead.
One of the things that I think we get out of going to university as veterans is perspectives that we may not have had before. And I think that's absolutely important. It's not that we don't develop any critical thinking skills in the military, but there is such a thing as a military culture. And I think one of the things that helps to kind of break people out of that shell is to go back to school and kind of get over our own prejudices towards academia, because it does exist. You do have a lot of people that come from a very military background what's the kind of way to say this?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of reasons that I could bring out, but they're not, if you weren't live streaming us, now it's all a matter of public records. We got to do
Right.
Thanks.
It's just, that's part of the transition, I think, is the fact that you're coming back to school and now, the view that some of us may have had at certain points, being in the military or after military contracting, gets to change a little bit. We get to see the value of academics. We get to see the value of a research university and understand what those universities and what academia is producing you know, for us as a country, even for us as soldiers in some cases, what kind of innovation goes on there.
Polishing your rough edges.
Right, right. You know, you might, you know, as military veterans, we do bring a unique perspective to things. We're also given a new perspective. And I think that's absolutely important, especially for, you know, as part of your transition, to overcome some of the mentalities that you might have come up with depending on, you know, the kind of units you were in and how people felt about the civilian world or the academic world. So.
Do you mind if I just add from that, from my own perspective, not being a veteran, but helping veterans with training and job assistance? What I find with those that are more educated is they're able to market their skill set according to the corporate world. They're able to make that transition easier and facilitate it. Because there's so many skills that veterans bring that I never knew of until I started exploring it and understanding it from the veteran's perspective. It's a matter of merging those two worlds together so you do understand. You can only market those skills appropriately. I think that education really helps with that.
Fantastic. Okay, I'm gonna switch a little bit, because I know we have a young lady back here who's got no military experience, but is considering, why in the world are you here? Did you signed up for the wrong, you're like, oh,
No.
I'm surrounded by military guys. I'm joking,
No,
of
no,
course.
I know.
But so what is it that you're looking for, and what is attracting you here? What brought you here? What's your question?
So basically, I applied recently, and so now I'm doing a lot of research. I have been researching, I'm an FIU alumni, and so I have been researching the business school for a while. But I want to get a little bit of different perspectives, even like within the military. And also he was saying, forgot her name, Michael? You were saying that you have different perspectives. I'm sorry I'm throwing the question.
No,
at you, but
throw it.
But
Yeah,
I'm kind of curious to see what's the perspective that you would have in the military of civilians, and can
We
you
went
talk?
down this road.
She's not gonna let that.
You tossed the question, but I missed it. You know, that wasn't a good help.
Or academia.
Well, all right.
Well, you can say, I don't know.
Now, me personally, I actually did some college before I ever went to the military. Also ran off to Peru at the age of 17 to teach English as a hippie English teacher, all right, before I ever joined the military. So my perspective is a little unique. Also, when I went into the military, I went in as a linguist. First as a Korean linguist and a Spanish linguist, so I actually did basically 2 years of college as part of my military experience. And so the perspectives there are a little different. By the time I went to a special operations unit, I was seeing more and more of sort of this perspective from some people that, I'm sorry, it's almost like in some cases it's a superiority complex. You know, you kind of you've gone to war, right? You've been in combat, and so a lot of us come away from that with sort of this assumption that we know more about life than the average civilian or the average academic in some cases. And we are not going to take this conversation down politics, but it's palpable when people, and you know, some people that I'm very good friends with, they have a tendency to dismiss anything that is academic related. They have a tendency to dismiss any think tank they don't agree with, anything that comes out, any research that comes out of a university, not realizing, you know, how much data is being produced, how much innovation is coming out of these universities, what all of the students there are learning that they didn't get an opportunity to learn. I mean, the perspective in some ways is wide, and in other ways is very narrow. And unfortunately, there are some of us that came through with a little bit of a complex because we were in combat. I don't know if you can relate to this, Renee, but there was a moment for me when I came back from Afghanistan, and everybody else was just was no one to me. There was a short period of time where I came back, and you know, if you hadn't been there, you don't know what it's about. You don't understand life. You don't have a real perspective on the world. And unfortunately, it's not true. I give as much credit to someone who has been part of a research university, in some ways risked life and limb to go and do inoculations in some country in the middle of conflict, you know, as part of, you know, whether it's Peace Corps or part of some other, you know, research group, you know, that to me is bravery, that to me is courage, and that to me has the data that comes back from that, the things that are learned and the perspectives that are brought to the table are something that I think more military members, when they first leave, need to have the opportunity to embrace. You know, academics doesn't need to be this scary thing. It doesn't need to be this thing that opposes you. And, you know, for whatever reason, there is a lot of that mentality. I try to encourage as many of my friends to go to an actual campus university. One of the reasons for that is that, you know, I think a lot of guys get to stay inside their own shell by going to online-only universities, such as, I'm not going to name them, but they've marketed very hard over the last decade and a half to veterans and military personnel and have very questionable credibility. And nowadays you have all these opportunities at these amazing universities like FIU, several others I'm not going to mention because we're talking about FIU. And does that answer your question? I mean,
yeah.
we could go on for a while.
It's a great point. I mean, anything to add?
No, Michael has covered that one pretty fully.
Let me add, a lot of us that have spent more time in the academic world, going through our undergrad or going through our master's, the more time that we spend there, I think the broader perspective we get, and the more we kind of see this, the time in that transition, or maybe even our own mentality in some cases, we see this shift. And it's something that I want for more of my individuals. No matter what their thinking is on any particular topic, I think that they can broaden their horizons. Every veteran can. And they have a lot to offer. You know, it is a mentality in some cases that has to be overcome. It's like a mental roadblock. And in some cases, it's just that it's almost an excuse out of fear for having to accomplish something academically in some cases. So is that okay?
Yeah, fantastic.
Is that all right?
I mean, you know, just going, really, I have a different perspective because I've lived civilian and military, a conjoined experience. So I've always been civilian and I've always been military, same way. And, you know, also, there's different branches of service, and you're looking at what, like 995,000 in the Army, between Army Reserve, active duty, and National Guard. So to say, you know, one perspective, even within the military, is the same, really is not. And I think the military also is doing a much better job trying to come into this, you know, the 20th century, so to speak. They've offered me, I think I've taken the, you know, the Lean Six Sigma. A lot of those different concepts, you know, are being offered. So, but I can tell you, you know, back to I guess marketing for, you know, veterans, especially for a business, there's no better place to learn leadership and to learn that drive that you have to be successful in business. That sometimes people that try and go into business just don't have, and you just can't. It doesn't get nurtured. You know, have to lickety split to make them successful. And I think that's probably why a lot of businesses fail in as far as strategy and drive and whatnot. So I would go back to, you know, there's no better person to hire, you know, from as far as as far as discipline and the whole 9 yards. And like I said, and, you know, they are getting better now. I've gone into civil affairs, so you know you know, our branch is really how to bring civilian skills into the military. So that's why I'm a little bit different perspective, because they bring me in the military to deploy me to bring my civilian skills, not the other way around. So that's why, like I said, and I've always been a reserve and had a full-time job. So I guess I threw in a little bit different spin on that.
Well, I do want to add something to that. So Peter is working both worlds, civilian, military. Michael started off as a hippie, and yeah,
I didn't smoke pot though. There was no.
And you know, was fully immersed in academia. With me, I knew when I was a little kid, I wanted to be in the military. I wanted to serve my country from the time I was like 5 years old. And that's all I was working towards. So when I went to undergrad, I was in ROTC. I was in military training. Getting my undergrad degree was just something that I had to do to get into the military, because that's all I wanted to do. And so I had this very conservative, laser-focused mindset just towards the military. And once I got in, I fit in really well. And like Michael said, there is a military culture, especially when you get in certain types of units. So I started off in the infantry, which is that branch that does ground combat, and then went into special operations, which is specialized ground combat. And so yeah, there is a mentality that gets perpetuated with those groups of people, and it is very closed. And so when I came out and I got back into an academic environment, and I told myself I was going to embrace this, because I kind of brushed it off in my undergrad years, and I needed to embrace this in order to be successful in the future. So I'm really glad that I did this, and you know, there is a military mentality that I do have to break myself from. And I told my cohort that one of the reasons I'm in this is to learn from them and to learn how to be a more successful person.
And the only thing I'll add is, you know, perceptions that I had of civilians, of folks who were not in the military, that I've changed obviously now, especially academia. I got a crash course, right? So they're even left of the normal everyday person. But for me, I always kind of looked at them as lacking a sense of obligation to something outside of themselves. You know, a sense of purpose for the greater good. And that was kind of, you know, I always considered myself somewhat superior because I got it, and somehow everyone else didn't, you know, who didn't serve. And you quickly find out that they do. It's just, and that obligation expresses itself in other ways. Much like you said, I mean, there's a tremendous amount. You know, we have some folks from FIU who, when the Liberia crisis went down with the Ebola, they are the first ones that President Obama calls and pulls up. So here I am, a military guy, observing this, and am really kind of in awe. And it hit me at that moment when we find out that the doctor from FIU is the #1 person in America's response to reaching out to Liberia in this particular case and making a difference over there. And willingly, you can look her up, it's a TED Talk, she gives a TED Talk on it. If you have the skills and the talent, step up. And it suddenly hit me that we're not the only ones who step up. That stepping up occurs in many different shapes and forms. And that moment, which happened just, you know, shortly, it's taken me 2.5 years to kind of get past that, but it hit me right then that, you know, the perception I had, sense of obligation they don't possess, changed on a dime when I observed that happen from an academic PhD person who unhesitantly stepped up, had the skills, the talent, hopped on the plane and spent 4 months over there doing our nation's bid. So I don't know if that answers your question or not, but hopefully it does. Okay, I think we got maybe time for one more question. Who's my lucky? You're looking away, so that means automatically.
So I know a lot of you guys talk about the executive MBA, and it sounds obviously a lot of big business, that sort of thing. For somebody like myself who might be interested in a few years to start their own business or entrepreneurialism, what sort of skills have you learned so far that might lead to something like that?
Well, when I came into the MBA program, I was looking at possibly going into 3 different areas when I get out. One was going into the job market for security, which feeds into my background, maybe going into marketing. And then the third option was entrepreneur. And in the 2 months that I've been in this executive MBA program and learning, the first thing we're learning about is macroeconomics. And it has really opened my eyes because I really had no business background at all, didn't know anything about economics. And right now I'm looking at going and becoming an entrepreneur when I finish this and going into business for myself. And part of that is Tony here. In our cohort, listening to his experience and what he's done has inspired me to go that route also.
I have something to add to that. It's an experience that I had in my interview with Angel Burgos and Dr. Lazar. And I went into that interview and I called myself a struggling entrepreneur. And he corrected me and called me, he said, no, you're a budding entrepreneur. So aside from what you're learning, to speak to your question, aside from what you're learning is within your cohort and amongst the faculty here, and I'm assuming the same with the PMBA, you're going to be encouraged. I mean, not only will you get the functional skills that you need or the perspectives that you need, but they're going to find every word that they can, every opportunity to encourage you and empower you. So in just that little bit of conversation in that interview, I think really gave me a different perspective on what I'd been doing up to that point, what I was going to get out of it. That really impressed me as far as making that decision to get to the EMBA program.
Question again?
Just how you might learn small business skills, or where you think the MBA leads you in terms of perhaps becoming a business owner.
I think overall it gives you, like you said, it really changed that paradigm of thinking. And broadens, how you think, I guess is the best way I can put it. You learn a little bit from different, from everybody, I think, from different professors. I'm like, okay, like anything else, in the military. You learn how you want to do things, and sometimes you're like, okay, I don't know how not to take that something. And that mesh of, and I go back to, because all the people you're with are, for the most part, aren't, straight out of college, so they're usually doing, some type of business, or they work for a business, or there's a couple of our guys that had their own business, so you kind of see what works and what doesn't, and really it's a cheap way to learn some lessons, because in the business world, if you go out guessing, you're going to learn those lessons, but they're going to be expensive. So.
That's a great way. And I'm going to add one thing. I'm going to let Tony close on this one because he's he appears to be an entrepreneur here with some rigor. But I don't know if I know the MBA program's gone through a little restructuring from when I was there and what it is today. But while I went through it, when you talk about preparing you, a thread that went throughout all 5 of the, and I'm not sure if it still does this, was this concept of innovation and entrepreneurship. And so that, number one, gave me confidence from the skills perspective, that there was a focus and a concentration throughout the course that focused on exactly what you're talking about. Not teaching you how to transition into a company and into the corporate world, but how to transition and become an entrepreneur yourself. And that was truly the focus of that program overall, was that common thread. So I got confidence that the skills were being provided, etc. And the second, which now lead into Tony, you are surrounded by entrepreneurs. And I love the way you said it. I mean, it's a great way to learn cheap lessons. And so when you come into this particular area, and I get to watch, gray-haired guys, I'd rather have gray than none, which is happening to me, but when you get to watch and you get to learn from their experiences, that adds so much to the curriculum. And it's not just one, like, in this case, Tony, but we're surrounded by them. I don't know what the makeup of small business owners are. In my particular MBA, I'd say it was easily 50–60% of our class were folks who took a chance, went out and built their own businesses, and eventually, through struggling, through budding, grew and blossomed and found one that worked. And so, that was really a compelling learning component for me as I went through the executive MBA program. I'm not sure if that thread is still kind of there, or even if the thread's not the emphasis. What I know for sure and what I'm hearing, I'm gonna turn it over to Tony, is that you're surrounded by that mentality in your cohort. So Tony, you got anything to add to that?
I would just say that, I mean, I'm in it, like I said, for various reasons, multiple reasons. I see a business everywhere I go. I really do. I mean, that word entrepreneur, I would love to one day achieve that word, you know. But I'm a serial business individual that sees a business everywhere, almost like a dog sees a squirrel. And I have to maintain that focus. But I'm also in it because I'm learning from the group. You know, I may be one of the older people in it, but I'm learning from new ideas. And it you know, so I'm hopefully taking as much from it as I'm going to be able to give to it, you know. But again, I would love to one day strive to be and achieve that word entrepreneur. And I just find the whole experience of being here very enlightening. That whole, you know, and they haven't said enough about the concierge, you know, the method of which the group that the administration brings to it as well. It's almost like a concierge environment, you know. But again, with regards to, they're wonderful. I can't say enough about that. They're wonderful. But as far as what you're going to gain, you may gain an individual like myself that, you know, has had and continues to have a lot of businesses. And that's a wealth of knowledge. I mean, I started my MBA at Boston University. It got interrupted. I have a field MBA from Mexico. I have a field MBA from Bolivia. I have a field MBA from Argentina. You know, I was a managing director of all Latin America and Southern Europe, where I had a sales staff. And the thing is that every business, within a business, there's profit centers. When you talk about a profit center, you talk about another business. You know, so wherever you, I mean, it's just, to me, it's, you know, it's just a snowball effect. And I love the whole aspect of being here and continuing to hone my skills, because what I have is a lot of field experience, and now coupled with, you know, the tooth theory of it, you know, I'm ready to take over the world.
And I'd say at the end of the day, I think in the last few of the classes, someone has started out, if not one, multiple, and either someone's willing to fund them within the cohort themselves, or one of the professors who are all practitioners. The beauty of the kind of go to Tony's point, bring them into this. You know, we're getting practitioners, not just academics. But you know, so whether they connected us or connected that person to funding opportunities to get there, or whether it's funding or business acumen or whatever that particular thing may be. So I think if we were to take a look at the productivity of the entrepreneurial mindset, okay, I don't even think it's a place where you go. It's not a destination or a name that you become. It's truly a state of mind. It's a mindset. It's almost like a disease. You're inflicted with it, and there's nothing you can do. Or all of us have it, and this program brings it out. And they bring it out in very real ways through the practitioners, through the encouragement, being surrounded by it, and then in more concrete ways by folks providing, you know, looking for those opportunities and funding them. So we've had folks who have left from our particular, at least on the IMBA side, in each cohort, literally starting businesses as a result of going through that cohort. And that's you know, if you really want to get to where the rubber meets the road, I mean, hell, that's, excuse me, heck, that's that part we're off now, right?
Yeah.
That part is really, really
yeah, we'll
good.
blur it out.
And it's really something that I think the program can pride itself on, is that focused on operational practitioner type thing. And I think that's why it's easy for military guys to transition into this particular program, because it has an operational flavor to it. And we're accustomed to that operational flavor, that practitioner flavor. And they add just enough theory and academics that, okay, you can stay awake before you fall asleep, and then you're right back into the, okay, getting your hands dirty and stuff, so, okay.
Can I add something to that? One of the things that I experienced as an entrepreneur, very early on, while I was actually contracting in Baghdad, I started my own little company. I immediately got a small contract with a big name defense contractor, consulting for them, sending people to go and test out their equipment, what have you. But from that point on, I did struggle. And looking back, and especially being in this program, the whole reason I came to this program was to bridge the gaps in my knowledge. Because over time, no matter what I did right, or thought I was doing right, there was always something that, for me, I was a little bit behind the power curve. And, you know, despite some good experiences and despite some headway, I realized I had gaps in my knowledge, fairly wide gaps, and very quickly those have begun to close as an EMBA student. And like you said, you're garnishing knowledge from people that have been successful entrepreneurs or have successfully navigated you know, the corporations that they've worked for and have a lot of knowledge to bring to the table, as well as the faculty themselves. Like he said, they are successful entrepreneurs themselves, or directors or executives in other companies, or have been consulting for Fortune 500 companies for most of their life. So again, my main point is I came here to bridge some gaps in my own knowledge, and that's happening very, very quickly. And I think you'll find the same thing. And I'm sure it's the same in any of the MBA programs at FIU. But the executive MBA program for me has really helped, while also speaking very well to my background in the academics that I've done in international relations or regional affairs, things like that.
And I'd like to add one quick thing as someone who's not in the military, but who is a member of this administration. And since we do also have some healthcare representatives here, all of our programs do carry a lot of that entrepreneurial spirit. The Executive MBA, and I'm so glad that we have such an incredible representation here, and from the Professional MBA as well, they all carry a bit of that mindset, especially because of the culture here in Miami. You know, we're lucky to live in an environment where small business and big dreams really do come true. And when it comes to like the healthcare industry, for example, I mean, the healthcare MBA is really highly ranked as well here, and we're very lucky for that. But in regards to the different options that we have here, and things have changed since you guys have started, we actually do work really closely with our entrepreneurial center here for a lot of our MBAs, not just the executive MBA, but our professional ones as well. And we have a small business development center here too for investment opportunities and for growth. And I mean, there's a lot of things that I'm talking about that are like a little bit salesy, but you know, it's great to hear what incredible things you guys have had to say about your experience thus far and through the program. And I want to thank you all for taking this time out of your day, out of your week, all of you, to come here on a Thursday to hang out with us when Obama's in town. There's just, you know, a lot of opportunities here at FIU that we really want to open doors for. And for those of you who have chosen to come here, we're really thankful. I kind of want to give a quick a round of applause to our incredible panelists and to our moderator for this incredible time. And you know, it's so weird to have a live stream.
Get used to it.
Sure. Yeah. But I want to give you guys an opportunity as well to get to know yourselves, each other, a little bit. We have about like 10 minutes left of what the official program is. You're welcome to help yourself to whatever food is left and whatever wine is left. And again, thank you all for everything, and especially you guys. No.
That's rare in a group of veterans, so.
Yeah, thank you all so much. And if you have any questions, My staff is here. Again, my name is Ashley Capo. There's Sonia Zilberman in the corner. We have Matt Pachaguida here in the back. If you have any questions about anything that you've heard today that may not be necessarily military life, but anything about FIU, we can answer. All right? You have a great, great night. Thank you so much.
She only said the name.
I'm gonna start heading out, but I'm also get a little bit of feedback.
Yes, ma'am. If you insist.
I'll tell you everything what's wrong, and I think it'll be a good fit.
So I just pharmaceutical sales, that was a former life.
Yeah, I guess he wants the bag.
No, it's funny because now I'm a registered nurse, so I actually work in English children's, that's why. Do you like?
I don't know, if these are ours. It's a secret to life, right?
Peter, I thought you're right.
You know, save my number, we'll catch up just like I feel like That's when you get ideas like, okay, this is gonna fit. What is value for you? That's when I say I help someone every now and then. You'll be like, oh, I know I would be. That's how it starts. All it takes is like, I was gonna go to a program. And one of my buddies told me, oh yeah, this is how just to see what they're doing. Once I did that, even at same with me. We get stuff done. The biggest thing is to get stuff done. Sense of urgency. No, that's studying. Corporate world is not that bad. If you go to somewhere like nonprofit, it's just not easy. And it's frustrating, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Crank up the intensity on things that
Give me a letter right now. Not similar process for her.
Well, boot camp and all that stuff, right?
The kind of anticipation. For me, I don't They say 18 months, but I think now it's turning 2. Yeah. Is there a question to qualify for that? Yeah, I'm not sure. I want to stay in
All right, everyone. Thank you for watching. Signing off.